We are rolling. What's up, everybody? This is Nigel Hall reporting live for Justice Comes Alive, and I have with me now one of my hugest inspirations as a keyboardist and musician, and number three of my number 10, and like the greatest of all time to ever do it, Miss Patrice Rushen. Hello, Patrice. How are you doing today?
Hello, Nigel. I'm doing great. Doing great. Thank you.
I'm so glad to see you. This is the second time in a week that we've gotten to Zoom and hang out with each other. So this is
So
really
awesome.
cool. I just wanted to take a few moments of your time because what I'm doing is I want to I feel it very necessary right now. You know, we're at a very tumultuous time in our history and in our culture and as people. And like we discussed the other day, you know, I really feel to a degree hopeful of how people are starting to receive this because it's absolutely unable to ignore now. But I wanted to talk. I felt it was important for us to go to people like you and to people like Christian and all the other people like who kind of paved the way for us to get to where we're going now. And I guess my first question is how is it like what do you think that young people can do that can move that can make all of the things that our ancestors and our elders did not in vain. You understand what you know what I'm saying? You understand my question?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there are a number of things. The first thing that is already started happening, and that
Right.
is to speak up.
Right.
Speak up, and to speak up with a certain kind of intelligence and eloquence that focuses on the point.
Mm-hmm.
And however you can, sometimes in situations that have happened, at least it's been my experience, uh, coming up through the Watts riots of the 60s, as a little kid, seeing, the death of Martin Luther King, the assassination of Malcolm X, JFK, RFK, just all the kinds of flashpoints that there have been in time in my lifetime. And then later, as an adult, Rodney King, etc. The difference then was that my generation, our parents were some of
Uh-huh.
the people that were educated,
Yeah.
and their goals were with their children, those who could, was would help them succeed and to make change. And you make change from within. You got to be in the thing
Mm-hmm. That's
to
right.
help to help to motivate changes. And I'm talking in terms of like institutionalized racism, et cetera, et cetera. You
Right.
got to be involved in something that gives you a voice on the inside in order to make the changes. So that was the idea. But at that point, the way to get inside for a lot of us represented internalizing so much of what was going down, but not able to verbalize it. Don't say anything. Keep your head down and your grades up and
Mm-hmm.
get
Yeah.
in and do what you need to do after you're in there, but you got to get there.
Yeah.
The difference now is y'all have these phones.
Right.
You got digital media that when you see something and it's not right or you can immediately you can film it. It's no longer our word, against
There.
the oppressor's word.
Right.
It's right here in front of you to see.
Right.
And you start to understand that the same mechanism that you're using for entertainment, certain kinds of information, the ability to share, the internet, it allows for you to be able to focus eyes on the point. So the biggest thing that I could tell young people is continue to do that and keep it on the point. Don't let the manner in which you say what you say
Right.
take it off the point
Right.
of why you're saying it in the
Of why
first
you're
place.
saying it in the first place. Exactly.
That was a big problem before, and I think that now we have that, and I think that young people of all colors, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
are no longer in a situation where they just have to just hear it and not be able to talk about it and say stuff.
Exactly.
I think the biggest, and I was sharing this with my some of my colleagues earlier today, in fact, is one of the biggest things is that you guys, I say you guys because I'm a little older than you, um, you're still learning how to process it.
Right.
And you may not be as equipped with certain things. You don't know how you're going to feel when somebody right in front of your face, some kind of injustice is just blatant. You know, and we're at a place in our social lives now where, you know, we can easily be lulled to sleep because there has been certain kinds of progress. We have seen ourselves in positions of power. We can see people of color who have ascended to certain kinds of heights that had been left out. We've continued to create. We've continued to invent. We've continued to innovate.
That's right.
And you can be lulled to sleep thinking that it's done, and then all of a sudden, pow! Something happens. Right. Like what happened with Brother George Floyd. What happened with Breonna. What happened with Aubrey. You know, all of these kinds of things start happening, and it's like you don't know how you're gonna feel. You've just been hit between eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
We've shared information. We've told the stories. We've all, especially you know, all Black children receive the talk, especially Black boys.
My sons definitely have.
But the thing about it is, they don't know how they're gonna feel when it happens to them.
Right.
So that's another part of what this is about. That conversation is also, that dialogue has to also continue so that you can negotiate and process what's happening and stay on point. That's what's going to keep us from being in a situation where those people and giving their lives did not do so in vain, and that we can stop this madness.
That's right. And speaking of being on point, like another question I had was, you know, kind of directed towards white people. You know, we all have white people in our community. And one thing I've always said too is that even though we have to stand against this and we have to do it together. We can't just be white people and Black people doing it on their sides. We all got to come together, and we have to do this together. But being that we know a lot of white people who maybe want to stand with us and not really know the proper way to do it, you know, I guess basically in a streamline, how can white people come correct? You know,
I think that there's so many well-meaning people that who are white who want to really be a part of the solution. There are many steps to take, but among them, here are a couple that I would suggest. Anytime you want to learn about something, you want to ask people about something, typically you do a little homework.
That's right. It would behoove you to do some homework. That's right.
So that the conversation, you have a common approach and a common language. You don't have to know everything, but you have at least an approach that says, I'm really interested in this. Right. I really want to know this. Right. I found out so and so. Man, when you need to fix a washer in your sink, you don't know how to do it. You'll go to the internet sometime before you call the plumber so that you can see, is it something I could do myself?
Right, exactly.
Now, sometimes you can and sometimes you cannot. But if you're going to have to call the plumber, at least you are able to say, yo, this is what's going on. I tried to do so and so. I got this far. It didn't work for me. That's why I called you. Right?
That's right. That's absolutely right.
That's the analogy that I will make with something like this. It's like if you really want to know some things about not only seeing things and want to do your part to help or understand the situation, you need to know something about it. The internet is full of pieces of information that you can hear. If you have difficulty hearing it from a Black person, you can hear it from another white person.
Exactly. That's absolutely right.
Who will have more experience or has done some study or some tests. In other words, your approach in answering those kinds of questions or in wanting to have these difficult conversations has to be based upon you doing a little bit of homework so that you can come correct when you're talking about something and you're sharing information and knowledge and questioning on the basis of larger piece. So many white people have not thought about that. So they'll say things like, you know, I want to do something, but I don't really know what to do, or they'll knee jerk into a situation where while you're trying to explain to them, they're going to tell you about their life,
Right.
and try to equate their struggle or what they've done in their life to yours. And right now, we're not talking about you. Right now, we're talking about this.
Right.
But they are so accustomed to seeing things only through one lens all the time.
Lack of empathy.
That it comes off that way. It can come off that way. So I would say to my white brothers and sisters, do a little homework before you start opening the door for these kinds of conversations, so that your dialogue is perceived to be based in a genuine interest and genuine want to know.
That is, yeah.
That's what that would be what I would say.
And then not be afraid.
And then not be afraid to feel the pain.
Right, exactly.
Because see, that's the other thing. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about it, but we don't want to hurt. Well, you know what?
Right.
Sorry.
Right, exactly.
The situation is such that until you feel the pain, you can't change the pain.
You can't change it. That's right. That's absolutely right. Go ahead.
Well, some of the
conversations on today. That's right.
So some of the conversations are going to be really, really difficult. They're going to get really down to the nitty gritty of
it's going to get weird.
What's going on.
You can't be afraid for it to get weird.
You cannot be afraid because that's a temporary thing when the goal is in the right place.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't think anybody's standing around blaming the white people in 2020 for things that happened 400 years ago directly.
Right, exactly. It's impossible for you to do that.
But the conversation definitely has to be that over time, when there continues to be, whether knowingly or unknowingly, this idea that we are always the ones that have to compromise. We are always the ones that have had to assimilate. We are always the ones that have to make changes and adjustments so that they are more comfortable.
Right.
Those days are gone.
Yeah, that's over with. That's over with. Well, that's a great question. That's a great answer to that question, actually. I guess my third and final question is, what is the biggest change that you'd like to see, or most important to you, as it relates to the Black Lives Matter movement? You know, because these people are now, it's good to pass a couple bills and everything, and that's cute, but this happens every time. So we want to talk about what are the things that are bigger and more sort of bigger scheme of things that we can see happen quickly in this movement.
Mm-hmm. I think that Black Lives Matter allows for us to be able to have a certain kind of voice overall, because it's not just about Black people, the ones saying that. Mm-hmm. So now we need to look at, like you're saying, the bigger agenda that eradicates the why. What's going on in terms of the kinds of conversations that are going on in terms of a little bit more equitable understanding of how much funding the police force really does need. Mm-hmm. The kind of monies that also need to go into kinds of activities that would make it such that police don't have to take on these other roles that they are really not qualified to do.
That's right.
In terms of dealing with people a certain way. The idea that the community and the responsibility of the way you want to be governed and handled is a shared governance, a shared responsibility. I think that the voices that we have now able to feel confident that they can speak up, and the ways in which we have to just continue to show up. Mm-hmm. We have to show up. We want things to change. We have to be willing to say, hey. See, we're in a position now when we see it going down and it's not right to be able to say, no.
Right.
Stop.
Right.
The thing you keep talking about you're not going to do anymore, that you're doing it right now. Don't do it. Right. Stop that. Exactly. And I mean, it's in little ways at first. But I figure like this. We've had 401 years of a habit of being treated a certain way. At certain times in our history, having to allow it, that triggers off into a whole thing of what has ultimately become white privilege.
Right, and which is why we are still here.
And
Whenever
that's why
time,
we're still here. So all of those kinds of things have to be like, like, ugh, filtered away. And Black Lives Matter and other movements that deal at the root of why things are the way they are, and offer a voice to be able to change it, have to just continue to be vigilant. It doesn't stop with this incident, and those conversations need to be just part of our routine until what seems to happen here and there stops, and when people want to make adjustments in terms of taking our human race further, that has to become the new habit.
right, exactly.
And when you're trying to learn how to do something new, you have to sometimes force the issue
Yeah,
until it becomes thought, until it becomes habit.
exactly. Absolutely. Well, you all heard it here first. This is Nigel Hall with the great Patrice Rushen. Thank you so much, Patrice, for chiming in. And we really need all that we can get right now. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do, and to all of my fellow artists, this is the time. This is the time to raise your voices and do what you can. We have the best platform ever to be able to do what we do and be creative. We care. Make some music. Make some joyful noise.
That's right. Unto the Lord. That's right. Thank you very much, Patrice. I appreciate you.